Okay, this is going to be my third attempt to upload this video. The last two attempts, the audio was all screwed up. It wasn't screwed up on the end that I edited, but when it uploaded to YouTube, I don't know, something happened to it or whatever. What we're doing to this skid steer is we're going to put new tires on it. I had these tires that are on this machine foam filled. We bought the skid steer a couple years ago. We bought it new, and it's got 14-17.5 tires on it. And instead of buying a spare tire and rim, I chose to have the tires filled with foam. We hadn't had this done before. This skid steer, the jobs that this skid steer does, the skid steer it replaced, the jobs it did as well. We ended up having a lot of flat tires on it, picking up nails and stuff from, picking up debris around barns and picking stones and cleaning up hedgerows and tiling and everything like that. So we felt it was a good idea to have them foam filled anyways, just to get out away from having to have any flat tires. Well, now they're wore out and they need to be replaced, and we're going to have to find a way to get them off the rim. So what I ended up doing is I ended up cutting them off with a chainsaw. There's various other ways you can obviously do this, but I chose to use a chainsaw on, and it took about an hour and a half to pull the tires off the machine and cut the rubber off and away from the foam, and then to dig the foam out. The first one we struggled with quite a little bit. We didn't know really what procedure to take. We cut down through the tire on right kind of crossways, and cut it down as far as the bead. Then we thought we could kind of peel the bead out from over the rim and just take it off that way. And then after we discovered that wasn't going to work, I ended up just running a saw around the circumference of the tire. That seemed to do the job. Different guys have said, that they just use sawzalls and whatever like that. I have had, we did use the sawzall a little bit to reach down in and grabbed a little bit of foam that I didn't want the saw to cut through, because I couldn't tell where the rim was, and I didn't want to hit the rim with the chain on the chainsaw. The tires that are on this skid steer are, I believe they're Titans. They're HD 2000s is what they are. They're just a regular, or they were, just regular skid steer tread. They've got a heavy sidewall on them, like a bead saver or whatever. And those beads were, they were quite thick. The tires that I'm gonna put on are either gonna be the like a payloader tread. That's what we've got on a few of our other skid steers. There's another tire that we're using on the skid steer. It's a I believe the name is Camzo, and they're almost like square tread, and it runs on a slight diagonal, and that tread is about 1.5 inches thick. And the one machine we have them on, that's got quite a few hours on it, and they seem to be wearing pretty good. Any of the skid steers that we buy now, they do have the availability to have these Titan Hulks or Carlisle Hulks. I forget what kind they are. But some of the skid steers we've bought in the past have just got the regular OEM skid steer treaded tire on them, and we weren't able to get 200 hours out of the regular skid steer tires, the cheapy bastards that you can get from the factory. Now Deere, they are offering the same tire that we've been buying here lately. These Hulk tires we can get about 1,200 to 1,400 hours on, and these are skid steers that are run on the concrete all the time. We've got one skid steer. All it does is just it pushes feed into the cows. It divides feed up, and that's all it does. And I could not see running them cheap tires and having to change tires every time we did an oil change. It was ridiculous. Years ago, oh Christ, it had to be all of 25 years ago, I was looking for like a 16.5, like a 1000 or a 950 16.5 truck tire to put on a skid steer to see if it would last. And there's a tire place near us down in the city that was recapping tires at the time, and I was talking to that tire guy about getting an old bias truck tire to put on a skid steer, and he had asked if we had ever recapped, if we had ever run recaps on our skid steer, and I said no, we'd never run any of them. So they ended up recapping a set of skid steer tires for us with the trash hauler tread, kind of like a Z bar design. Well, it's just, they call it trash hauler tread, like a Bandig cap that they put on. And we got all of 1,000 hours out of those recaps. But the only problem was they started raising the price on capping the skid steer casings, and you fast forward here a few years later, they finally started making a better tire to choose from, and the trouble with the recaps was every once in a while you'd blow a casing or whatever, and you'd have to either find another casing or buy a new tire and wear it out. And nothing ever matched because the capped tires were a little bit bigger than the standard skid steer tire. And then depending on the manufacturer of the tire, that ranged in different sizes too. So it wasn't every other set, but about every third set we had to buy virgin tires. And then we always made sure that we had bought the same make of tire, just so that we'd have the same size casing. That ended up being a hassle too, just to keep everything all in line. I don't recall what we're paying now. I don't remember offhand what we're paying for these Hulk tires, but we run this one 326 John Deere skid steer, and we have a track machine, and then our other skid steers are all 318s, and they only run a 1000 16.5 tire. And we're running that, well, like I said, that Hulk treaded tire on the majority of them. Again, they're getting 12 to 1,400 hours on those Hulk tires. I thought about putting a metal set of tracks on this skid steer because we picked stone with it. thought it'd get around easier. And the cost for a set of tracks kind of equaled the cost of what it's going to cost to put tires back on this machine. But you can't run metal tracks with a foam-filled tire. Apparently, if you lodge a stone or something, you could blow the chain case on the skid steer because there's not enough give for that stone to ride around between the tire and the track. There's another brand of track. It's like a rubber composite track that you could run, but the tires didn't have enough tread on them, and that wasn't going to work. I haven't made up my mind now as to what I'm going to do, if I'm going to foam fill this next set of tires or if I'm going to fill the tires with some kind of a tire sealant. It seemed to be that there was only a couple tires that we took off that I dismounted, took the foam out of. Well, it seemed like there was a couple of them that had any objects actually in them. Michelin has a radial tire that's supposed to withstand a pretty good puncture. That's an option as well, but they're right around $500 a tire, I believe. Outside of not filling them with foam, with thoughts of putting metal tracks on this machine down the road, that would be the only reasoning for not foam filling the tires. But I think it's going to lead towards foaming them anyhow. I would like to try that. Oh, there's a product, Hammer Seal's one of them, Tire Eject is another one, just to see how well those actually work. If anything else, foam fill them. Later on, it is a hassle to pull the wheels off the machine again. It's sitting in the shop now with no tires on it, and before I haven't ordered tires yet or anything for it. I wanted to wait and get them off first and see what that process involved. We had never taken foam tires off the rim before, so we just kind of wanted to see what that experience was all about. And that would be the one problem with foam filling. That would be the problem with putting radials on it. You wouldn't be able to cut a radial tire off of the foam to get it off the rim with a chainsaw. You'd have to resort to I suppose you could do that. You could grab the sidewall and pluck and then just cut crossways of the tread with a sawzall, I suppose. But you're not going to be able to cut that tire with a chainsaw when we clean these. Tires up off the floor there, the shop there, the rubber that was left from the tires and the foam that weighed 1,340 pounds, and them tires were heavy. It took, I can remember when we put them on, it took all of a couple guys just to get them up on the studs, without having to jockey jacks around and everything else here. But we're gonna have to do some thinking over the weekend here. It's Saturday afternoon right now, and I'm actually running around seeing how well the fields dried out today. We had spread manure Thursday, and it was quite muddy Thursday, and we decided to work around the shop Friday, and we're gonna start spreading here full bore Monday. We ended up jockeying tractors around on spreaders earlier this morning. We've got the one spreader that we're running Green Star on, doing our documentation and mapping out where we've spread manure in any specific field, along with doing the auto steer and all that crap. The other tractor that we had on the second spreader didn't have a Green Star display in it. The tractor is it's an older tractor. It's an 8320, but it's not auto steer ready. It doesn't have the right steer motor in it to get the command from the Green Star display to auto steer. You'd have to put a like a motorized steering wheel in it. That's what we do have that in our 9320. So we ended up putting a tractor on the spreader that was auto steer ready, and we swapped the system over to that. So we've got the ability to map off that too. That'd be the tractor that's pulling the noon spreader. So we played around with that this morning, and we're fairly confident that that tractor that we put on it is going to handle the spreader. Well, this is going to about do it for this video. All I'm doing here now is just pulling the sidewalls off these rims. That went just like, dismounting a tire. The Hulk tires are a Galaxy brand tire, and the Camso is just a Camso. It's like 1139 or something like that. So that's gonna about do it for this video here. We'll catch you at the next one, and hopefully the upload goes as planned with this one. I don't have a lot of time to screw around with editing these damn videos, not to mention doing them 2 or 3 times, so I don't know what happened earlier. But if you could, please hit that subscribe button, and if you have any comments, leave them down below. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you at the next video.